Fight fans, fight fans, fight fans. This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunched Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua. Get this, Deontay Wilder confirms Anthony Joshua fight will happen. Deontay Wilder says a fight between him and Anthony Joshua will occur at some point in the future. It's too big for it not to happen. Wilder 42, 2-1 and 41. Joshua 24, 3 and 22 was offered to him recently, but he had already scheduled to face Robert Helenius on October 15th, so it wasn't the right time. Wilder feels that a fight between him and Joshua will be huge, even now with both of them coming off of consecutive losses. The boxing world wants to see them fight. Deontay Wilder says that if he is successful against Helenius this Saturday night at Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York, he'd prefer to challenge the IBF, the WBA, and the WBO heavyweight champion Alexander Usyk for his 3 titles next if it's offered to him. He says, I'm still in the business. Joshua's still in the business. People always tell me, when are you going to fight Joshua? That's the biggest fight in the world between us still. So it ain't if, it's just when, said Deontay Wilder. I know I didn't get him full as always, but I got him enough to where I saw his eyes roll in the back of his head, said Deontay Wilder about Tyson Fury. And at that moment of time, I just knew it was over with, but it's the business and blah, 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 because I'm tired of him talking about Tyson Fury. Anyway, let me counterpunch. Him saying, well, they got to fight at some point. They're in the same weight class. They're in the same era. The fight's going to happen. It's too big for it not to happen. You know something? You know what that sounds like to me? When Anthony Joshua said that shit on, I think it was Sway. Yeah, I think it was either Sway. Yeah, it was on Sway's Universe. Back in 2019 when Anthony Joshua came over here to fight Jarrell Miller, right before we found out Jarrell Miller failed the drug test, right? And he said, like, similar to the same thing. So what's the difference? There ain't any. Shelly Finkel is still the manager of Deontay Wilder. Eddie Hearn is the lifetime promoter of Anthony Joshua. And those two have to come together to make the fight. Now, to give you guys a little sprinkle of positivity, okay, for these guys fighting, Shelly Finkel was the manager of Vladimir Klitschko, the great, the legend Vladimir Klitschko. And of course, Eddie Hearn was with Anthony Joshua promoting him, and that fight was made, okay? So those guys have worked together before. So it's not like these guys have never worked together, never came to a conclusion, never got to a point where they could have an understanding to make a fight happen. It hasn't been that. This is not a pioneer thing. This is not something that has never happened. This has happened before. You know, and if that is the case, I think there is some glimmer of hope of this fight actually taking place. You know, and so October 15th means a lot for the heavyweight landscape. Because if Robert Helenius, being 38 years of age, can take out Deontay Wilder, all this just fizzles away. Okay? It fizzles away, and it doesn't matter, and it won't mean anything. However, I would disagree with Shelly Finkel, the manager of Deontay Wilder, and Deontay Wilder, the way they fucking handled it. How did they handle it? They did nothing. They gave no feedback. They act as though Eddie Hearn was some kind of buster-ass promoter that you never heard of. That's what they did. I didn't appreciate that. You know, I do appreciate them telling the public, but I think it just showed how non-responsive, right? And not willing to communicate with the other side. That's all I seen. I'm like, well, hey, that's not a good sign if you're not even talking to Eddie, because you could have told Eddie the same thing, and then Eddie wouldn't have to go and say this to the public that listens to him, you know? Because all that does, if I call someone that I had a problem with or I had an issue with or I was trying to do business with, and then in return they turn around, I don't hear from them, what am I going to do? I'm going to tell everybody, well, you know what? I wanted him to, you know, to cut my grass, or I wanted him to fix my plumbing, or I wanted him to, do some work at my house, or I wanted to go into business with him and I couldn't get in touch with him. Well, that's all Eddie Hearn really said. But Shelly Finkel allowed that to happen. Now, I know it was damage control. He went back and said, well, we had to worry about Robert Elenius first, because if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have an Anthony Joshua fight. Well, you could have talked to Anthony Joshua's fucking promoter. You could have done that, because then it comes off that you don't want to really be cooperative, okay? So you don't want to give anybody that type of title at this point. You have like two guys, former champions, very dominant in the sport. The primary reasons, like a huge hunk of why people watch heavyweight boxing today, is because of these two guys. Deontay Wilder, Bomb Squad! And AJ, Anthony Joshua, Big Femi in the UK, right? That's one of the reasons. Okay, this is a big chunk of why we want to watch heavyweight boxing in the first place, because we got tired of watching another fucking Vladimir Klitschko fight. Facts. Okay, so these guys were a light in a division that was utterly dark. Okay, so if Wilder's saying that, I want him to be about his word and get Shelly Finkel's ass in motion to get a fight happening, because Joshua don't have a fight. He just lost his last fight. Deontay Wilder has to redeem himself. Maybe Joshua will redeem himself, and at some point, and in May or some point like that, then we may see these guys fight. And you know what? It is a huge fight. And Wilder is right. Now he's saying what Joshua was saying years ago. But it's good. Since both of those guys said the same thing at some point in time, maybe they will start believing it. And hopefully we will get a fight and we will get to see it. Okay? But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Deontay Wilder stating that a fight with Anthony Joshua will happen in the future. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace!